Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. I've got some fans running, pushing air around here in the office, so I hope it's not too disturbing to the sound. Okay, I have rigged up the stabilizer, and when the loop is over that hook, as you can see, I can pull on the string at the end of the tail section, the end of the boom, and make this actuate. So the spring tries to give up elevator, and pulling on it gives you neutral and then eventually down elevator. So now I need to rig the rudder. And the rudder is going to be the same way. You want the spring, you need to put it in the position that is going to open it in the correct direction, okay? Because depending on how you put this in, it's either going to open or close the rudder, move it left or right. So you've basically, I'm hoping that this is going to show up well, you've basically got this little piece of wire that has one L facing, let's say, north, and another one facing west. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is use a needle nose pliers to insert this into the wood. You want to put it about halfway along the rudder so that the middle of the spring is right here where the line is going to attach to the control horn. And so we want this to be open like that, okay? Because you see the way the hinge is set up, it's kind of like a door. It opens that way and it closes on itself like that. So the spring is going to sit in this groove right here, and we're going to want to put one side in here, and then we'll want to grab it at the top, twist it a little bit, and insert it in there. So I'm going to start. You want to grab this not just at the corner, you want to grab a little bit of the straight part. And this is one of those little tricky fiddly bits that's going to be hard to do on camera for you. Then you want to try to make sure that it goes in straight with the wood. And this is very easy to mess up. If you get it wrong, just slide down, you know, 1/8 of an inch and try again. Because you see, this is fairly thin, so you don't want it, you know, going at an angle where it's going to poke back out. You want it to stay centered in the wood, which is very hard to do. And when I did the stabilizer, it took a second attempt. I had to reinsert it a little further down the way. And it's not sticking out here. You can see that it didn't protrude through the wood there, and you can just see it's starting to stretch the wood right there. It's just below the surface. And that's going to work for us. So now I have to insert this side, which again, you want to grab it by the straight part. Slide it into the wood, and didn't come through on this side, and looks like we're good here too. So I would take the end of your needle nose and just push that in a little further if you can. And this is the part where I'm going to do this off camera. What I'm going to be doing is putting a little drop of CA in that hole and over here to try to lock those in. Okay, so you can see there's our spring. It's holding our rudder open, and if I release it, springs right back to place. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to hook line onto here. First I've got to run it down through the tube, the boom, and we'll move on to that next. I'm going to cut some Kevlar line. Okay, I've threaded this through. What I did was I tied a 440 nut onto the end of the Kevlar line and dropped it down through vertically. And so now I've got to tie this to here. Now they provide these little brass tubes, and brass is one of the softer metals. What you're supposed to do with these is you run the line through one of these little tubes, through the hole in the horn, back through the tube, so you have a loop, and then you crimp this down, and then I would highly recommend putting some CA. Another way you could do is tie a knot, loop it through here, tie a knot, and then CA the knot. I'm going to go ahead and try one of these, see if I can thread this through. That is a very small hole, so it's going to be tough to do. They provide, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they expect you're probably going to lose one of these. Let me go ahead and put this 440 hardware away. And as you can see, I've removed the stabilizer. That's definitely one of the advantages of having it be removable. It makes it a lot easier to work on this stage of it without the stabilizer on. Okay, it was relatively easy to get it through once. Getting it through twice might be a little bit harder. And this Kevlar line, if you get some of this, you will find that it is extremely hard to cut. I've got some fairly sharp scissors, and it just doesn't want to do it. An X-Acto knife is one way to go, but the cleaner the cut, the easier it's going to be. I may have to enlarge the hole in the horn a little bit. And see, this twisted line is already starting to unwind a little bit, so I'm going to make a fresh cut. Okay, let's see if we can't thread the needle this time. I almost need something like wax. I'm trying to think of what I can use. I think what I'm going to do is put a little drop of CA on the line, and then make another cut. Okay, and I'll just cut that away after I get this inserted. There, see, now that stiffened up that last ½ inch of line, and it allowed me to make a much cleaner cut. And there we go. Okay, now I need to thread this through that little copper tube. Wow, that was easy. That putting CA on that on the end of the line and wiping off the excess really did the job. It almost makes it like a needle. So I can pull in the slack here. Now I want to make, since I've got two options. I don't want this brass piece hanging up on the edge. So I either want it to be really close, or I would need it to be far enough down this loop that it's inside. And I think making it really close is the way to go. If I pull this all the way, I can still have this a decent distance away, and it's not gonna touch the carbon fiber, so, or touch the boom specifically. So that looks good. So now I can crimp this. I'm gonna go ahead and pull through a little more slack, because I want as much at the other end as possible. In fact, if I take this all the way to the end there, I don't even need to worry about cutting any off. Okay, like this. Okay, so you can see I've got a little bit sticking out the end there. I'm going to go ahead and crimp that, and then I'm going to drop in some CA glue just to lock everything together. Okay, so that's nicely crimped, it's tight. Now, when you're working with CA glue, sometimes you drop a little more than you were intending, and I find it's good to have a piece of old towel handy. You can use paper towel. The problem with paper towel is that you're gonna, if you do it on like covering, when you wipe it away, you can leave a lot of fiber behind. If you are quick with the cloth will absorb the CA, and you're not gonna have a lot of residue left behind. It's just cleaner. What I'm doing there is I'm not crimping, I'm just pressing the line together while it's got a little CA glue. I don't want to get my fingers tacked in there. And now those pieces of line are one. So let me get this from the other end. So, as you can see, there's our mechanism. That must have gotten a little, yeah, so you got to watch with the CA. It just, even a teeny drop of it, it just travels. Just want to keep that loose. Just moving it around till it dries. There we go. Let's give that another try. There we go. So, there's our rudder action. And as you can see, I'm sorry, let me get that in frame for you. Okay, there is our rudder action. You pull on it, you release it, the spring pulls it back, you pull on it, and you get rudder in the opposite direction. You ease off on it, you center it, and then it goes open again. So that's how these work. So now I'm going to put the stabilizer back on, and then I will attach the fuselage. Now, to do this correctly, I have at this point already sanded this part of the boom right here. So that is ready for glue. And I'll take a little bit of denatured alcohol and just swab the inside of the boom here, just to get any mold release that might be in there. I'm not going to try to sand in there because it's very, very thin. Then I'll be mounting the wing, and not in a permanent way, just attaching it so it's nice and solid and seated. And then I'm going to be putting this on a rack, which I'll show you, that will lock the fuselage down, and I can adjust the tail boom so that in relationship to the wing, the stabilizer's flat, the wing is flat, because once this is glued in, it's a permanent resident. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel. If you click the bell icon, you'll receive notifications every time I launch a new video. Thank you for watching.